So I saw this really interesting video about record labels, 360 deals, artists getting exploited. And I thought I should watch it and react to it because I've made a little bit of content about the music industry and how NFTs and Web3 is changing the landscape. So let's watch it, social media as well. Let's watch it and let me give you some comments as we go through this. So let us begin.
Are you in a 360?
I don't know.
No, don't tell me you don't know. If you don't know you're in the 360, you're in the 360.
Wow. So a 360 is a 360 record deal where labels take a share out of every single thing that an artist does publicly. So no matter what you do publicly, they get a cut. And those were established in the Web 2 era. So basically back in the day, people used to sell CDs and labels would not really care about anything else because they made so much money from CDs, right? But with the advent of social media, like MySpaces and all of that, people started downloading stuff for free online, and which really disrupted the music industry. And so they had to rush and figure out a new way to monetize. And they found that it's important for social media is important because it gives artists more publicity, but they would have to monetize by getting a cut out of everything the artist does. So they sign artists into 360 deals, which means 360 degrees. They get a cut out of everything. And so it's kind of exploitative, but at the end of the day, look, they're giving musicians an opportunity to shine. So he's asking, I think this young Lil Yachty, some rapper, I just don't know these new rappers these days, but he's asking Lil Yachty if he has a 360 deal, and he's like, he doesn't know. That is traumatizing because I think this video is going to talk about it, but it's very terrible that these musicians don't even know what they're signing still till this day. They don't know what they're signing, and they're putting themselves into like these terrible deals that's going to make them broke. But anyway, let's keep going. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. It really pushes this video out in the algorithm and encourages me to make more videos. This video is brought to you by Brand Video Pro. We help brands and influencers scale their influence and sales. So if that is of interest to you, head on over to our website, click the link down below, and find out how we can help you. You can book a one-on-one consultation with me. You can take one of our courses, etc. Just click the link down below, find out how we can help you. All right, let's begin.
It's like one of those.
Okay.
Then tell me what you want from hip hop.
I'm making music, bro. I'm just having fun. You know what I'm saying? My fans love it.
You have a problem with just having fun in 5
What
minutes.
do you want me to say? You want me to say?
I want you to be aware of your business. I want you to know whether you're in a 360 or not. I want you to appreciate the culture that changed your life and took you from college dorm rooms, eating oodles and noodles.
Chill.
Honestly, there's just no excuse in this day and age because we've heard how many artists have been exploited, gone broke, gone dead broke. Joe Budden was an artist back in the day. I'm sure he got exploited. So it's like there's no excuse with the internet for you not to know this. You're the business, or for artists to still get exploited, especially hip hop artists. But okay. He's telling him to chill. No, when you're broke and you can't pay your bills, you're gonna ask. You need to chill.
You know, my manager saw my record deal and said, "This is a record deal." I had to spend my own money auditing my label because millions of dollars are missing, and you can tell when millions of dollars are missing.
Of course.
Right?
Yes.
So let me ask you before we finish. No, let me ask you, bro.
Yeah.
If somebody owed you $500,000, how would you feel?
Yeah, crazy.
What if they owed you $1 million? What if they owed you $3 million? No, listen. Okay. What if they owed you that, bro?
Right. I understand.
And you showed up for them and you did all these things, right?
Right.
And they up billions.
Now more than ever, hip-hop artists have the power to be the masters of their own destiny. And thanks to the internet and social media, literally anyone with a drive and determination can reach audiences around the world. Able to make music with an iPhone or computer.
So here's my thing, right? He has a video of Russ. He has a video of, I don't even know who this guy is. These are all independent artists that haven't signed to labels. I think Russ did a brief stint with a label, then he left. People keep using this as an example, but I keep saying this time and time again. The problem with independent artistry is that people don't know how to market themselves. I don't know who this guy is. Russ is just not a big artist. He's not played. He's just not like he doesn't really have impact. The only artist that has been able, I think the only independent artist that I've seen, and I mean never signed to a label. I'm not talking about Soulja Boy, who was big and signed and then is now independent. I'm talking about you started out independent, you've always been independent. That's Chance the Rapper, right? He is the only mainstream independent artist that I've seen. And if you know any others, please leave a comment down below. Someone that has never been signed before, and you're big and you're mainstream. And really the reason why Chance the Rapper is that mainstream is because of Justin Bieber. Because of Justin Bieber putting in him in his first song in 2010. Was it 2010? No, I want to say 2013. Oh no, Confident, right? He put him in that song. That blew him up. Justin Bieber is like, we'll give you all the distribution that you need. Blew him up. And people will say Kanye West. I was there at the Made in America festival backstage when Chance the Rapper met Kanye West for the first time. I was right there. He was holding a teddy bear, Chance the Rapper, and he was so excited. I was there with him like earlier that afternoon, and he was really excited to get to meet Kanye. He was like super excited. And then later on, we all went backstage. Or we were already backstage, but we went to this like other section, which was like, you know, Kanye's backstage area. Everybody was there. Kim, Chloe, all these celebrities were all there. LA, Made in America Festival. This was like 2014. And Chance meets Kanye backstage. And after that, I know that they've done like collaborations. They've done some sort of business together. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but people might say, oh, Kanye is part of the reason why Chance is like known and stuff. It's Justin Bieber's visibility and stuff, but let's keep going.
This drastic overhaul in both music distribution and the ability to generate a fan base should have meant, theoretically at least, that record labels should have become extinct. Inspired by the success stories of those who refused to sign to a label and do it independently, some believe that the power of record labels must have been crumbling. In fact, disruptive ex-major label head Steve Stout believes that it would only take one flagship artist to take a stand in order for the whole thing to fold in on itself like a house of cards.
One flagship artist, so like say a Justin Bieber, but he has no incentive to do that, but some sort of like super mainstream and relevant artist now, if they did that. But independent artists just don't know how to market themselves. So unless there's some sort of, I think somebody that used to work at a label needs to create, or marketing department of a label needs to create some sort of marketing distribution company and work with independent artists, do some sort of deal that way. That's where, and you have the ability to guarantee that these artists become the next Beyonce, the next whatever. If you can crack that code and figure that out, then labels will be obsolete. But there's no incentive for you to make somebody as big as a Beyonce if you're not going to take a cut out of her future and her longevity. It doesn't make sense. Unless you sign this marketing deal for like 10 years or in perpetuity, it doesn't make sense for you to do a deal like that. But let me keep going.
If Drake right now posts a link on a picture on the gram of his new album, link in bio, new album out, fully independent, Drake will make $10 million a week for 60 weeks.
By the way,
you know what I'm saying?
Drake is about to get the biggest bag in the history of the music business by far.
He should.
They don't want that to happen, because the day that happens, you might as well close the business down.
But as empowering as this concept is, the reality is different. Despite the rise in independence and the adoption of new distribution platforms such as Empire and United Masters, 93.3% of hip-hop that made it onto the billboards between the years 2010 and 2018 came from the majors.
See what I'm saying? That's another thing. It's the politics of these major labels, right? Billboard, Hot 100, that's all curated by labels. These playlists that you find on Spotify, playlists that you find on Apple Music, that's all curated by the labels. They're so ingrained into the fabric and the ecosystem of these platforms that we utilize and we respect. The YouTubes, the Spotifys, the Apple Musics, they're so in conversation, in collaboration with these labels, even radio stations, that it's almost impossible for somebody to be independent and be mainstream. Because even Chance the Rapper, he's an example, but he's really not a mainstream artist. He doesn't have mainstream hits. His only hits are songs with Justin Bieber that went through the label. I can't think of one Chance the Rapper song that was a hit. Just like a hit. I don't know any. And that's the problem. And also, like, labels also have the ability to bring together good writers, good songwriters, good producers, all of that. Chance the Rapper just doesn't have those hits, and he's like the biggest independent artist. So that's the problem with independent artistry. They're selling you on this dream that you can do it without a label, but who has really done it and been a big, massive star without a record label?
And in a broader sense, 3 major record labels, Sony, Universal, and Warner, continue to produce 2/3 of all music sold. No matter how many people claim to be going it alone or maintain that they have their own imprint, the majors are signing over 50 artists a month, each one of them feeling, for a moment at least, like the most important person in the world until the walls come tumbling down. And as the countless cautionary tales make it all...
I also want to add that the place that you really see people or songs blow up and get sort of like a impact or rotation is TikTok. And TikTok trickles into YouTube Shorts, trickles into Instagram Reels, and that's where you'll find songs blowing up and getting crazy streams. And that's a way. That is a way to make something mainstream. I just haven't seen anyone do that and retain their image and create sort of like a mainstream image along with that. We have all these massive TikTok hits, but we don't know who the face of it is. And when you go and you look at the face of it, it's always like low quality, unpackaged, unrefined artists. From their videos are unrefined to their look is unrefined. And then you just kind of like, because people are used to seeing the glossy. People want to see the glossy, especially when it's music. And that's what a label offers. So these very important components of a label are going to make it very difficult for artists to go mainstream without a label. But one thing I will say is that you don't need to go mainstream. Or, sorry, let me put it this way. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Independent artistry creates an opportunity for artistic middle class and entrepreneurial success. You can make a lot of money as an independent artist, but you might not be famous. You might not be mainstream, but you'll keep a lot of the bag. So you have to determine what is important to you. Do you want to be rich and not be as famous? Or do you want to... It's difficult because the only benefactors of that landscape are people that were signed pre-social media, pre-Web 2.0, or even early Web 2.0. They were signed then they come out of these record deals and become independent artists because they've already been given the clout from the traditional route. And so now they still have the opportunity to do both. But these days, if you're going into a record label and you're signing a 360 deal, it's going to be very difficult. One thing I will say is that a good strategy would be to build your following, be an independent artist, then find ways to collaborate with labels on one-off deals to help you sort of get distribution, but without giving away all your ownership. And therefore, you can still make a lot of money. I know like Soulja Boy still does like distribution deals on individual singles with record labels. So there are ways that you can still do that and still exploit the record label route without selling all your goods and still making sure that you retain your wealth. And I think that's what Russ is like supporting. But he's not mainstream, he's not known, but he's probably got a lot of money. He's probably got way more money in his pocket than most of these rappers that you see all over the place. But let me keep going.
Too clear, these companies don't so much sell dreams as they loan them out. Not to mention when it comes time for them to get what they feel they're owed, the repayments are exceedingly high. Upholding a world in which a famed group such as TLC could have had platinum certified sales and yet still finds himself so broke that they had to borrow 15 grand for a lawsuit, you'd think that the increased access to information of this kind would give artists pause before signing the dotted line. But from an artist as famed as Meek Mill's claiming that he's never received—
This thing is so sad when you hear about these artists from the 90s that are all broke. NSYNC were being paid pennies. It's disgusting. I'm just hearing about TLC now. So many people in the 90s, they just ended up broke. It's insane. But because of the internet era, it's going to be more difficult. But I'll say that these guys, because they have the clout, because they have the impact, they could really do something and make some money. Too bad that they lost Left Eye. May her soul rest in peace. But they can still make a lot of money if they're smart with social media.
a dime from MMG, to Big Sean informing the world that he was signed into a 360 deal that came with just a $15,000 advance, the labels have still managed to scheme and plot their way into holding on to the status quo that they've created. As for how they do it, well, there's a series of age-old scams which are employed to keep both major labels and their seemingly hip-hop friendly subsidiaries in the driver's seat. For starters, we have the whole concept of a record company advance. Often seen as the first substantial bag that an up-and-coming rapper receives, the advance has become the stuff of hip-hop legend. Defined as a sum of money given by the label to the artist for them to live off of while producing an album, which then has to be paid back from sales of that album before any royalties can be claimed. The common perception is that they've awarded the funds to you, and from then on, they're at your disposal. Considered to be the budget for your record, it'd be expected that this was yours to do with what you'd like. But in reality, there are ways in which a major will step in and drain your cash reserves, leaving you with little or nothing to show for it by the end of the recording process. Or in the most duplicitous of circumstances, funnel your cash into another artist that's popping at the time. I seen that I was tied to another artist, Waka Flocka Flame said of his time at Warner. Most of my budget money is going to the one that put more money in. They enter, you get hot, we throw the money. If you don't have the record that's buzzing, they don't care, you're flipped. During a recent episode of Off the Record podcast, Academics relayed another tale of budget tampering that he'd heard of. This time, he said that the label went out of their way to make the recording experience as expensive as possible for the artists in order to deplete their funds and retain control.
Pause.
They gave somebody a $2 million recording budget. In a $2 million recording budget, they wanted to book a studio every day for 6 months straight. The manager for the artist said, well, if it's $2 million, we finna save some money. We about to take about like 60 to 70,000. We gonna build our own studio. They said the label told them, we won't approve of any place that we don't already pre-select, which means you can't take the budget and go do it a cheaper way. The place they ended up having to basically settle with, it was a mansion in the Hollywood Hills that had a studio in it that they paid $3,500 a day. Running through that artist's budget. The label and the person who owned the crib, they got a relationship. That's almost like money laundering. You're making sure that artist's budget go to the person you with. You're saying they got a big budget, but you won't give them the budget that they could do what they want.
Given the illusion of control by dangling a big yet unobtainable number in front of your face, this tactic also bleeds into the underhanded trend of labels flattering their artists with gifts, which, while appreciated—
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there. Oh my God. Wow. That's what even like, look, this is business. The problem is that people see the lights, they see the fame, and they get like in this trance. They just believe all the hype. They buy into the stuff and then they get exploited. I've heard about this happening also in the fashion industry. They sign these models in these deals. They have no money, but the agencies charge them so much money for everything. Like they'll charge them like thousands of dollars for an apartment for their housing, and they'll share like one tiny apartment with like 10 people. And they're charging them full price for a whole apartment. And do you know what they do? When they sign these, when these models get jobs, they inflate the money, or they take out of like what they owe the agency. So they're overcharging these models, and then they book them on jobs and they take a bigger chunk because this is what you owe the agency. They do this to models all the time. I even heard about somebody, the label, I think the agency was like, oh, everybody, you guys were taking you to Chanel and Gucci, go buy and all, and by the way, they do these to these models that are like 19, 15, 20. So they don't know any better. They don't know anything. So they go and then they run around buying Chanel and Gucci and all this dumb stuff, whatever you want to buy. And then the agency will charge them like double or triple for those bags. And it comes out of their paychecks. That's how you get people in slavery. It's the same thing with the record label. And it's a business and it allows them to exploit you and make more money. And so I just have to say, like, people need to be smarter. They need to, first of all, put themselves in a position that they're not, and this is with all business, right? Doesn't matter if it's a label, doesn't matter what it is, but you have to put yourself in a position that you're not desperate, that you could walk away, right? You could walk away from that deal. That's what you need to be before you even enter any deal. I'm serious. You should not be in a position where you're just ready and willing. Just give me the chance. Give me the opportunity, please. I'm so desperate. When you're desperate, people will exploit you. They'll take advantage of you. So you really have to put yourself in a position that you have built your own foundation and that you can walk away because you can give yourself a better deal. That's the start of any career in entertainment, in media, and in anything, really. Even in relationships, even in dating. You should put yourself in a position where you can walk away. You're not going to take this exploitation. That's the first step. Then the second step, I would tell that label to, I wouldn't even, like, the thing about the label, like, overcharging them for recording, like, think about it. It's so ridiculous because all it takes to record a song is this mic that I'm using right now and a nice quiet room. That's all you need. This is how people are making songs with this stuff. You don't need a Hollywood mansion that costs $35,000 or $3,500 a day. That's like so archaic. That's like from the past. Technology has advanced. You don't need any of that. You just need a quiet room, soundproof room with one of these to record your song. Sometimes like the rooms aren't even soundproof and they're able to get great songs out of this. This mic costs like $300, $400. The whole setup, maybe it costs you like max like $700, $1,000 max. And you could make a song anywhere, anytime. And the fact that they're charging them $3,500 a day for a $2 million recording budget, and they're exploiting it, and then you still have to pay that money back to the label. This is how they cheat you. This is how they make a ridiculous amount of money off of you. So like the ways that you're exploited, you don't even realize. I'm going to finish this last part of this and I'll probably continue this video.
Connect is a distraction from what's really going on in the accounting. From Birdman gifting Wayne Bentley coupes and Rolls Royces in the years prior to Weezy revealing the millions in unpaid earnings that they've withheld from him, to Summer Walker, whose original 2017 deal with Interscope gave her a pitiful 15% royalty rate, being given a G-Wagon by those very same bosses, labels are happy to give you all the trappings of lavishness on their terms. When in reality, they should simply pay artists adequately and allow them to make whatever purchases or financial decisions they choose. But, as we're learning, the labels will employ any tactic they can to keep things lopsided, even if it means immorally tying young men and women up in legal knots when they've likely never seen a contract before in their lives. Although there are many ways to do this, one that's become particularly prominent in hip-hop is providing artists with the same legal counsel that advises the labels, thus ensuring that at every turn, they'll act in the interests of the massive firm, rather than...
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate, but I think right now, if anybody is acting like Lil Yachty and saying that they don't know if they're in a 360 deal, they don't know, I'm just here to make music, I think that you kind of deserve to be exploited if you're just gonna be blind to what's happening. That's what capitalism is about. It's about, and I talked about this in another video. I talked about it in relation to Squid Game, but capitalism is about finding opportunities that people are unaware of and using that to make a lot of money and to capitalize off of it. Finding loopholes, exploitation, all of this is all part of capitalism. I can't hate capitalism for it. I can't. It's the way it is. And if you're not going to use the internet, like all this information is out on the internet. Back in the 90s, I could say that it was disgusting what they were doing because like there was no exposure. There was nowhere to expose them for it. There's no way to really like shine a light on it. So it's really disgusting and they really got away with it. But in today's era of social media and YouTubes and all this information is being given to all of us, and you don't know better, I don't feel sorry for you. You deserve to be exploited. I'm sorry. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. A peace.